And the title of today's notes, girls at home, this marker is going out. So if it gets to the point where you can't read it, let me know. It should be okay for today. But if it really gets bad at some point and I'm not noticing, let me know. It should be okay for today though. So don't look for it if it's not actually that bad, because we're going to run out of dry erase markers if we go too fast. Okay? So today's notes, or I'm sorry, this chapter is called Wild. Oh, something's going on with it. I think it's just because I'm using the wrong side. It's called Wildlife Watchers. So this chapter is called Wildlife Watchers, so that's the title of these notes. Wildlife, I see the glares probably in the way, but it's Wildlife Watchers. Like wildlife and then watchers. WATCHERS. And then of course write today's date. Today is September 14th, 2020. And then go ahead and put the number 1 to the left of the pink line. There are 6 vocabulary words. So Victoria, you're going to have the first 3. So numbers 1, 2, and 3 will be your words vocabulary. I'm sorry, Victoria. And numbers 4, 5, and 6 will be yours, Erin. Okay. So number 1, Victoria, this is yours. Go ahead and put a little star. Is the word disgusted. Disgusted. Disgusted is D-I-S-G-U-S-T-E-D. Disgusted. It is an adjective. An adjective. Those are describing words. They describe people, places, or things. If you cannot read my writing for a word, you may raise your hand and ask me very quickly. Make sure that those are the only questions being asked unless it is an emergency. And especially Erin and Victoria. If you cannot read a word, please raise your hand, ask me really quickly. I'll tell you, and then we'll move on. Everybody else, you may ask me that question unless it is an emergency. Please limit your questions to asking me what a word says. Okay, so disgusted is an adjective. It means, having a sick feeling, having a sick feeling of strong dislike. So disgusted means having someone or something has a sick feeling of strong dislike. In context, she was so disgusted by her burned cookies, she threw away her cookie cutters. She was so disgusted, she had a sick feeling of strong dislike by her burnt cookies. So she said, never again, I'm throwing away these cookie cutters. Disgusted, D-I-S-G-U-S-T-E-D. It's an adjective, which means someone or something has a sick feeling of strong dislike. Number 2, Victoria, this is also yours, so put a little star next to it. And the word is raft. Raft. R-A-F-T. Raft. It is a noun, which means it's a person, place, thing, or idea. In this case, it is a thing. And it means a kind of flat boat. Now that doesn't mean the boat is kind of flat. It means it is a kind of boat that is flat. A kind of flat boat. Not a kind of flat boat. It's not kind of flat. It's not a little bit curved, but kind of flat. It's a kind of boat that is flat. So it is flat, 100%. Okay, in context. Mark Twain wrote a famous story about a boy who explores the Mississippi River on a raft. Raft, R-A-F-T. It is a noun, and it is a kind of flat boat. Number 3, Victoria, this is your last one, so go ahead and put a little star next to it. And it is the word scattered. Scattered. S-C-A-T-T-E-R-E-D. Scattered. And it is another adjective. So another describing word. It describes things. So scattered means something is spread or thrown. That's the word thrown, that's a W. Thrown out all over the place. So scattered is an adjective, it's a describing word. It means that something is spread or thrown out all over the place without any rhyme or reason. It's not organized, it's just thrown out. If I go outside in the fall and pick up a huge pile of leaves and throw it up in the air, when they land, those leaves are going to be scattered all over the place. Notice how when I had to go to a second line, I made a space between the edge and the first word. That helps me when I'm going back to study because I know over is not a new vocabulary word. I know. I don't even have to look at over as a vocabulary word because I know it's just part of the line before. So making spaces like that when you have to go to a second line will really help you when you're studying. Yes, Erin, quickly.
I can't see how thrown is spelled.
T-H-R-O-W-N. Thrown. Okay, this word in context. When Matt dropped the checkerboard, the checkers scattered over the floor. If you drop a checkerboard with checkers on it, are they just going to fall in a neat little pile? No, if you've ever done this, they're going to go everywhere. They're going to be scattered everywhere. Okay, is this a question about how to spell a word?
No,
Then it can wait.
I'm
Okay. Okay, number 4. Erin, this is your first word, so start starring them. Victoria, no more stars. Number 4 is the word cluttered. Cluttered. C-L-U-T-T-E-R-E-D. It is another adjective. It's a describing word. It describes objects, or it describes a place. And it means something is filled with a messy collection. Oh, I'm at the end of the line, so when I go to the next one, I'm going to put some space so that I know that my next word is not a vocabulary word. So something is filled with a messy collection of objects. Not a neat. It's not neat and organized. It's a mess. Yes, Kingston?
How do you spell collection?
Collection is C-O-L-L-E-C-T-I-O-N. Collection. So cluttered is an adjective. It means that something is filled with a messy collection of objects. Here's the word in context. Laura's room was so cluttered with toys that it was hard to walk without stepping on one. So they weren't neat, they weren't organized. There wasn't just one or two here and there. There were tons of toys just all over the place. I need to erase number 1 and probably number 2.
This.
Is that okay?
Do.
Okay. Number 5, Aaron, this is also yours. Put a little star. Is the word downstream. Downstream. D-O-W-N-S-T-R-E-A-M. Downstream. Yes, Sadie?
Are those two separate words?
It is one word, which means it's what kind of word? This is one word. But what kind of word is it? That means that Zadie would have been questioning whether it was 1 or 2 words. A compound word, because it has 2 small words pushed together to make one big word. What are the 2 small words, Victoria? Down and stream. Well, we know down means below, and we know a stream is a small body of water that flows. So we can put down and the word stream, that little small creek or river, together and probably come up with a definition. It probably means, okay, it's down, it's on the lower part of a small river or creek. Well, let's see if the definition matches. Downstream is this is a tough one. I think it's a noun. You can use it in different ways. I think our story uses it as a noun, as a place, but sometimes it could be used as an adjective. But in this case, it's a noun. It's being used as a place. So that means it's a noun. Downstream is a noun, and it means in the same direction, in the same direction as the current. I'm going to go to the next line. I'm going to skip some space so I know my next word is not another vocabulary word. The same direction as the current of a stream. So is that kind of what we thought when we thought of the definitions of the word down and the word stream? Below a stream. Well, what direction does water flow? Downhill. So if something is in the same direction as the current of a stream, it is downhill of the stream. So in context, salmon are born in rivers, but soon after they swim downstream to the ocean. Downstream, D-O-W-N-S-T-R-E-A-M. It is a noun, and it means in the same direction as the current of a stream. Remember, the current of water is the way it's flowing. That's all a current is. Last word, number 6. Aaron, this is your last one, so make sure to put a little star next to it. And it is the word nuzzle. Nuzzle. N-U-Z-Z-L-E. Nuzzle. It is a verb, which means it is an action. It is something you do. And it means to touch or rub something with your nose. It's to touch or rub something with your nose. Now that doesn't mean if I need to blow my nose, I'm going to nuzzle the tissue, because I'm really touching the tissue to my nose. Nuzzling is done usually affectionately. So like you might do this to your mom or dad, or to your dog, or to your cat. You might stick your face up into your dog's fur and just rub your nose in it. So in context, the cat will nuzzle my leg when she is hungry and wants to be fed. When you blow your nose, are you doing that in a way that shows that you love that tissue? No. So you don't nuzzle like a tissue. You nuzzle something to make you happy or to make that person or thing happy, or because you want their attention. None of those things would you want from a tissue. You don't want a tissue's attention. You don't want to show that you care about the tissue. So it's done purposefully. Okay, any questions about the words? Any questions about any of the spellings, anything like that? Erin and Victoria, you feel good about it? Okay. Okay, so I'm looking for everybody to be on page 108. We know this chapter is called Wildlife Watchers. Well, what is she doing right now? She's watching the wildlife, because we know wildlife are living things that are alive in the wild. So let's look at the talk about it, but I want you to think about this. This is a think about it. What is the girl thinking? What is the frog thinking? Well, really quick, I'm going to pick one person to answer each of those questions. What do you think the girl is thinking, Zadie? Everybody should have an answer. Make sure you have an answer. What is the girl thinking? What would you be thinking in this situation? So everybody should have an answer for what is the frog thinking, because I may pick your stick.
She's probably thinking, like, there's a frog on my shoulder.
Okay. What might she be thinking? Does she look scared?
No.
No, she doesn't. So what do you think she might be thinking about that frog?
She might be happy that there's a frog on her shoulder.
Well, why? Why would she be happy that there's a frog on her shoulder? Why do you think that? She could, but why? Smith, why do you think she might be happy that there's a frog on her shoulder?
Because she might have never seen a frog ever.
Okay,
So
and now she gets to
it'd be
see
an
one really
exciting
closely.
moment for her.
Good. Victoria, one more. Tell us one more thing that she might be thinking, and then we're going to move on. Okay, so she might love nature and is really excited to be so close. Okay, next one. What is the frog thinking? Michaela. Loudly. You can pull your mask down. What is the frog thinking? Do we know 100% the answers to these questions? No, because we're not the girl and we're not the frog. So we're making inferences. That means we're drawing conclusions. We're guessing the answer based on what we see here. Michaela, what do you think the frog is thinking? I can't hear you. Why? Why do you think that? You can't just tell me they're happy, they're sad. It's like in your reading logs, you can't just say they were happy, they were sad. You have to tell me why. Otherwise, does it mean anything at all? No. If you are a tiny frog and this big human has you on their shoulder and is looking at you, what might you be thinking, Michaela? This means hands down. What might you be thinking, Michaela, if you're a tiny little frog and this giant creature has you on their shoulder and they're staring at you? Come on, Michaela, there's no right or wrong answer. It could be anything. You just have to, you can't just pull it out of nowhere. There has to be a reason. Come on, Michaela. There's no right or wrong answer unless you just guess without using the clues. If you were a tiny, look at me, if you were a tiny creature and a massive creature was staring at you, how would you feel? I can't hear you. Why would you feel scared? Pull your mask down, please, so we can hear you. Pull it down. Leave it down, below your chin. Why? Why would you be scared? You don't know who she is. And she's a lot bigger than you, so what could possibly happen? She could hurt you. There you go, see? All you have to do is think of a feeling and then why. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn the page. And we're going to read this story. What we're going to do as we read it is we're going to fill out this setting flow chart. Setting is where a story takes place. It's important to a story because when we read stories, usually where it's taking place is what causes all the events. Because if you're reading a story about a castle, well, you already know you're probably going to read about like princesses and kings and royalty and things like that. Well, in this story, we can see from the picture that we're talking about rafting. So that's the setting of this story. We're going to figure out the specific setting, but we know it's on a river and they're rafting. Please pay attention. That's important. So that probably means that everything that happens in this story is going to happen because of where they are. So what we're going to do is go ahead and read the context clues that we're going to use in this in this story. Kingston, loud. Pull your mask down and be loud. All the way below your chin. Quick. Read the context clues that we're going to use in this story. Remember, we always start with what's on the bookmark.
Paragraph clue.
Louder.
Paragraph. Paragraph.
You got it.
Paragraph clues.
There you go.
Are clues within the same paragraph to the meaning of the word?
Pause. We don't need to read the rest of it. So that's a way of telling what a word means if you're not sure. Look at the paragraph that unknown word is in. Remember, that's the block of text. Usually, those other words in the paragraph will lead you to the meaning of the word you don't know. So when you're reading and you come across a word that you don't know, read the rest of the paragraph around it because that will usually lead you to the meaning. Once you read the rest of the paragraph, it's usually true that word can only mean one thing. So that's a way you can figure out words you don't know. It's like what Miss Miller says. When you're reading and you don't know a word, you can't just skip it. Because what if it's a really, really important word that leads to the understanding of that whole paragraph and you just skipped it? Are you going to understand what is in that paragraph? Class? No. And if there's a if there's a question on your AR test about that paragraph, that you skipped that word because you didn't know it, are you going to get it right? No. So, use your context clues like paragraph clues. Okay, Kingston, read the title and the author very, very loudly.
Rafting.
Bring your mask all the way down below your chin.
Rafting. Ready or not, on a windless mountain.
Good. Keep going.
Dear diary, what an amazing day.
Louder.
Dear diary, what an amazing day. I never thought rafting would be so much fun. Wait, I should probably back up and explain what I was doing on a raft.
Good. Go ahead and read next. Zadie, loud and slow. Read the next block of text. And I might need you to pause, so if I interrupt, stop.
Today my family and I started on our vacation.
A little louder, a little slower.
Today my family and I started on our vacation. We're taking a rafting trip down the Colorado River.
Pause. Do we know our setting? What is our setting? What is our setting? Smith?
The Colorado River.
The Colorado River. Now, setting is not only the place, but it's also the time. So, Smith, When is this happening? Did it already happen way in the past? Is it happening now in the present? Or is it going to happen in the future?
It is happening now in the present.
Good, because even though it happened earlier in the day, the past means usually when we're looking at setting, the past means a long time ago. But today, or even last year, is not that long ago, so we could probably consider it the present, especially if we're talking about earlier today or yesterday or something like that. So it's the Colorado River in the present time. Good, Zadie, keep going. So what we're going to, so we just figured out the setting. Now as we read this story to figure out the plot, we're going to see certain events happen. For every one of those events, the characters are going to have a reaction. Otherwise, it's not really important to the story. Well, when you're writing a story, the important events always are followed by a character's reaction. If it's not followed by a character's reaction, then it doesn't really matter. Like if they say something like, we went to lunch, then we went to Algebra 1. Was lunch an important event in that story? No, because we never see their reaction. But if we have a story that says first they went to lunch, then they went to Algebra 1, where our teacher was missing and we went insane. Is Algebra 1 an important event, going to Algebra 1? Yes, because we see that character's reaction. So as we read this story, we're going to see important events. We're going to know they're important because we're going to have a reaction from a character. Zadie, keep going. Let's see if we can find them. Loud and slow.
I have to admit, it didn't sound like my idea of fun. The thought of getting drenched by the river and sleeping in tents with creepy bugs and spiders kinds of disgusts me. Disgusted. But unless I wanted to be left behind, I had to put on my life jacket and join in.
So is there anything that's happened yet that's led to a character's reaction? Have there been any important events that happened that led to a character's reaction? Colin, you want to try?
No.
No, not yet. We're just kind of getting the backstory. Why is she on this trip? Well, because her family decided to go, and she didn't want to be left behind, even though she wasn't super into the idea. Okay, thank you, Zadie. Read next. Well, Kingston, you just read. Smith, loud and slow.
Lisa, our guide, helped us get our big rubber raft into the river. We joined the others scattered here and there along the river.
Has anything happened? Oh, sorry, Smith. Has anything happened yet that has a character reaction? No, not yet. You can show me, and then if I put my hand up, that means I won. If I put my hand up or pick up the stick cup, that means I'm looking for answers. But if I don't do either of those, you can just show me. You can choose how to show me your answer. Like either like this, or like this, or like this, or like this, or like Victoria does this. Whatever. Okay. Keep going, Smith.
There were so many, it felt like we were playing bumper boats. Lisa had told us that the river would narrow and we would be a bit cluttered.
Narrow, if a river narrows, that means it's getting narrower, which means it's getting smaller. Keep going.
Then the river winded and the raft spread out as we were carried in the water's flow downstream. At first, I just sat in the raft and listened to my music. But when we picked up speed, I realized my help was needed.
Now, has there been an important event that there was a reaction to? Cullen?
No.
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 Think about it. The guide told them what to do. No reaction. She listened to her music. No reaction. The raft picked up speed. Was there a reaction to that? Victoria?
Yes.
Yes. Because after the raft picked up speed, what did she do? Victoria?
She realized her help was needed.
And when you're rafting and somebody needs help, what do you have to start doing? What is this called? Row or paddle. Row is like in a boat, like on a stream. But if you're trying to keep yourself from like something bad happening, you're paddling. So the raft picked up speed, which makes, do we know the girl's name? We don't, but we know the author's name is Olivia, and it's saying I, so we can say Olivia. Olivia realized she needed to help paddle. So do you see how the rest of that paragraph, there was nothing that she realized or that she did because of what had happened. She didn't get scared when it narrowed. She said it felt like they were playing bumper boats, but is that really a reaction? No, she doesn't have any reaction. She doesn't do or realize or think anything because they're so close together. She just comments on the fact that they are close together. When the river widened, did she think or realize or do anything? Colin?
No.
No. Remember, if I'm not, then you can show me, but you need to show me. You can't just sit there and do nothing. When she was listening to music, did she think or do or feel anything? No. But when the raft picked up speed, did she think or do or realize something? Yes. Okay. Let's see. Thank you, Smith. Go ahead and read next. Carla, loud and slow.
Before long, I was paddling away and enjoying the amazing wildlife overhead and along the shore. We spotted a great blue hermit.
Heron. There's no M there, Carla. Carla. There's no M, so it's not hermit. It's heron.
Heron and a coyote. When we
Not when, it says then, Carla. Carla, it says then. It says then, not when.
Then we watched a mother beaver nuzzle her young gently with her snout. Lisa said that if we look carefully, we might even see a mountain lion.
Good. So in that paragraph, something has happened and there has been a reaction. What is happening in this paragraph? What is the event in this paragraph? The answer is not here. What is the event in this paragraph? What happened? Now, event doesn't mean it's something major, but what is happening in this paragraph? Aaron.
They're watching and they saw wildlife and animals.
Good. So, birds and animals up here on the shore. And Aaron, what is Olivia's reaction to seeing these birds and animals? How does she feel?
scratch off
Carla, you need to
my
mute yourself.
wrist.
How does she feel? What does she do? Does she realize anything? Those are all reactions. How does she feel? Does she do something? Does she realize something?
She realizes.
Does she realize anything? Does she realize she needs to do? Realize is when you come to a realization. Like before, oh, I need to help. Does she really realize anything here that she didn't know before? Does she do anything? Does it says that she did anything?
No.
So that means it has to be a feeling. Her reaction has to be a feeling. Reactions can be doing something, they can be realizing something, or they can be feeling something. How does she feel seeing these animals? It says it right in there, but it might not be at the end where you would think a reaction might be. Sometimes the reaction comes first, and then the author tells us the event. That's to build surprise, or to make us want to keep reading to see, why does she feel that way?
She was paddling and then she saw the animals and she was enjoying the amazing wildlife.
Good. So she enjoyed, or she was awed, which means amazed. And she was excited. In this case, we see that she's awed, amazed, excited, whatever before, which makes us want to keep reading so we can figure out what is making her so excited and amazed. Well, all the animals appearing. So don't always look for the event and then the reaction, because we see in this paragraph the reaction is coming first, because the very first sentence is, before long I was paddling away and enjoying the amazing wildlife overhead and along the shore. So we see she was awed and excited first because the birds and animals. It's like complex sentences where the dependent clause comes first. Or, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Let's see. We just read Carla. Go ahead and read next. Zari. Is your mom on the phone?
No.
Okay. If your mom's on the phone, just give me a little signal and I'll put you back in and pick somebody else for then. But make sure she's on. She is on the phone, okay? Okay, go ahead. Loud and slow,
She's outside
Zari.
anyway right now. I have to admit that when it was time to go off the river and set up camp, I actually felt disappointed.
You're going a little fast, Zari. Go a little slower.
But it gave us
Zari, go
a
a little
chance.
slower so we can keep up with you. You're reading well, but you're just going a little fast, so it's hard to keep up.
But it gave us a chance to appearance.
That C sounds like sh.
Appearance.
Is that a word though? Does that make sense?
Appearance.
No, hold on.
Appearance.
Hold on. Okay, something's going on today where I don't know what it is. If it's me, I think it might be me, where you guys are kind of, I got to figure out how to make sure that I'm the main. Are you guys watching in speaker view? I don't know, I'll figure it out. Okay, so let's look at that word. This is a long E. If you see CIA like this, it usually means that C makes the sh sound. So, let's try. Zari, APP. App. Leave yourself off mute for a minute. App. R-E with a long E.
East.
No. We're only doing R-E with a long E.
Ye.
Are you saying R-E?
Re.
Re. C-I, where the C sounds like sh.
Sh.
Not sh. That would be
Shy.
S-H-U. S-H-I.
Chai.
No, you're saying C-H. C sounds like S-H. I is just a short I sound. So
Shy.
that's long I. What's short I? I. So S-H-I would be
Shit.
shit. And then this word is exactly the word that you think it is. A-T-E spells the word
8.
8. So, app,
Eat.
8.
8.
App, re, shi, 8. Now that's not exactly how we say the word, but what word does that sound like? App, re, shi, 8. It sounds like a word that is familiar to you. App, re, shi, 8. Is this clicking in anybody else's head? What word is this? App, re, shi, 8. Carla?
Application.
That's not a word. Kingston? Loud. Appreciate. Do you see how appreciate sounds like appreciate? Zari? So, Zari, answer my question, please. So, appreciate sounds like appreciate. So, keep going. Read the word correctly. So, start that sentence again with the correct word.
But it gave us a chance to appreciate the beauty of the Grand Canyon. The sunset was amazing. It made red and gold colors of the Grand Canyon.
Nope, it doesn't say.
Canyon wall.
Try again. You added a word that's not there. So try that sentence again. It made
the red and gold colors of the Grand Canyon
You're
wall.
doing it again,
positively
Zari.
grow.
Zari, read each word. You're adding a word that is not there. Try again. Go slow. It made.
It made the red and gold colors of the Grand Canyon walls.
Zari, point to each word and read it as you say it. Point to each word and do not say it until you have pointed to it. You are adding a word that is not there.
It made the red
Keep going. Zari, keep going.
It made
You did not read a word incorrectly. You added a word that's not there. So do not read it until you look at the word. It. Sorry, come on. Read one word at a time.
mine book says made.
Okay, I'm not saying that's the wrong word. I am telling you right now. You are adding an extra word that is not there. I never said that you read a word incorrectly. You are adding a word that is not there. So yes, it does say made, but you keep adding a word that's not there. So what I'm not going to tell you which word it is. What I want you to do is read each word, but not until you point to it. So start again. It made.
It made the red and gold colors of the grand
Nope.
of the canyon
Do you see what you're doing each time?
was
You're not reading the sentence. You're guessing what it says.
positively correct.
So do you see what you did? You're not reading the sentence. You're guessing what comes next. Is the word grand in that sentence? Zari, is the word grand in that sentence? Is the word grand in that sentence? Zari.
I can't.
Well, then mute me for a second. Mute yourself for a second. Mute
No.
yourself for a second. Zari, is the word grand in that sentence? Show me. You don't have to tell me. Show me with your head. Is the word grand in that sentence? No. So should we read the word grand when it's not there? Now that's an example. You all do this, and so you all need to be paying attention. Some of you are not. You're like, I know, I don't do that. Well, yes, you do. You have all done this. You will all do this. It is a part of learning to read. You have to recognize the mistakes that you're making, because if you don't know that you're making a mistake, are you going to be able to fix it? No. So make sure that you are reading every word, every piece of every word, not guessing what comes next. Because when you're guessing, you're not reading. Sometimes you guess right. That's fine. But sometimes you don't guess right. So you need to make sure that you're never guessing so that you don't guess wrong. You're always reading every word. Okay. Thank you, Zari. So we've had another event with a reaction. What happened at the beginning of this paragraph? What was happening? What was happening at the beginning of the paragraph that Zari just read? What did they have to do? The answer's not here. Zadie, what did they have to do?
They got a chance to appreciate the beauty.
Is that what they had to do? Was that the event that they had? What event? What was actually happening? Kingston? I can't hear you. Don't read it. Just tell me what happened. What did they have to do? Good. They had to leave to set, that's okay, we have 10 minutes. They have to leave to set up camp. Well, what is her reaction? Does she do something because she has to leave? Does she realize something because she has to leave? Or does she feel something because she has to leave? She feels something. What does she feel, Kingston? She feels disappointed. Now, is that it? Is that all she feels? Or does she also realize something? She also realizes something. What does she realize, Kingston? We can't hear you. And to do what? Because she got to see the Grand Canyon, what does she feel now? How does she feel about it? Happy. What does it say? Text evidence. What does it say she feels about the Grand Canyon now? Or that she does about the Grand Canyon? Cullen?
She feels amazed.
I'm looking for text evidence. Is the word amazed? That she was amazed.
She appreciates.
She appreciates what?
She appreciates the beauty of the Grand Canyon.
Good. Do you see the difference between she appreciates the beauty of the Grand Canyon and she was amazed? Which one is text evidence? Which one is details from the story to support your answer? Smith? Zari, please don't close your book. I don't know why your book is closed.
The chance to appreciate the beauty of the Grand Canyon.
Why is that text evidence, but she was amazed is not, Smith?
Because it starts with but.
Nope. Why is she was, let's see. Why is She had the chance to appreciate the beauty of the Grand Canyon, text evidence, but she was amazed is not text evidence. Zari?
Because she was amazed. Just doesn't really tell you what happened or
Okay.
how she's
Why?
feeling.
Why does
And
she
it's not
had
in
the
book.
chance to appreciate the beauty of the Grand Canyon, tell exactly what happened? Victoria? Because it's in the book. I've said this so many times with your quizzes. Text evidence or details from the story means what words does the story say that lead you to this answer? Well, literally, the book says she has the chance to appreciate the beauty of the Grand Canyon. She is amazed is true, but is that text evidence? No, because it does not say the word she is amazed. And also we need to know why she was amazed. So it's definitely not text evidence. It can be a part of your answer, but you just need to make sure that you have text evidence to support that. Well, we know she was amazed because the text says she appreciates the beauty of the Grand Canyon. Okay. Very good. Let's read the very last paragraph. Ethan, very quickly and loudly. And then we will talk. You have homework, but we need to talk about one part of it really quick. So Ethan, quickly read the very last paragraph. No, that's not the last paragraph. That is a consequence. Find where we are, and that will be a consequence. We'll be back. Louder, we can't hear you. Pull the mask down. All the way down. It's literally still covering your face. Okay, that's 2 consequences because you have got to. We can't hear you, and you're reading so fast, we can't follow along. You're so quiet, we can't hear you. Aaron, please read the last paragraph.
We'll be back on the river early tomorrow, so I'd better zip up my sleeping bag and get to sleep.
Very good. Okay, so we found out the setting, both from the story and by looking at the pictures. We can see, well, it's on a river, and they're rafting. And then we also have pictures that kind of show what she saw. We have a great blue heron, which helps us to imagine this event. And then we also have a beaver with its young, its babies. So we can imagine the beaver nuzzling her babies. Very good. Okay, so really quick, I'm going to pass out the homework. Girls at home, get out the homework and look at the vocabulary side. The directions for numbers 7, 8, 9, and 10 on the vocabulary side of your homework say, write 4 more sentences, so that means 1, 2, 3, 4, about the end of this trip. So numbers 1 through 6 are going to be about a trip. So you're adding 4 more sentences about the trip. You are not going to write random sentences about whatever. Your 4th sentence have to be what comes next. What happens after number 1 through 6? Then it says use an antonym of the words from the box in each sentence. That means you are not using your vocabulary for number 7, 8, 9, and 10. You are not going to use an actual vocabulary word in each of those sentences. You're going to use an antonym, which means opposite. So add this word. Make sure you write that. An antonym is an opposite word. Opposite is spelled O-P-P-O-S-I-T-E. Underline that word antonym. So you're finding words, vocabulary words that have an opposite. Does raft have an opposite? Zadie?
No.
So can you use an opposite word, an antonym for raft?
No.
No. Well, I guess technically you could. What could be the opposite of a raft? We know a raft is just like a flat little boat, so I guess technically we could. Kingston, what would the opposite of a raft be? A motorboat. I was thinking more along the lines of like a cruise ship. But yeah, a motorboat or something. So I guess technically you could use raft, but there are better ones. Is there an opposite for, really there's an opposite for, is there an opposite for nuzzle? If you can think of one, raise your hand. What could be an opposite for nuzzle? Victoria? There isn't really an opposite for nuzzle. But there are opposites for disgusted. There's opposite for scattered. There's an opposite word for clutter. There's an opposite word for downstream. So, make sure that you use an antonym and then add this direction. Underline the antonym, which we already know means opposite word. So the antonym that you choose, the word that you are using to mean the opposite of the vocabulary word, make sure to underline it. Ethan, are you writing these? Did you write that antonym means opposite word, and did you add the extra direction, underline the antonym? Do not forget, capital at the beginning, and punctuation at the end. If you make a compound sentence, do not forget the comma before and, or but. If you make a complex sentence, remember to add commas if the dependent clause comes first, and to not put a comma if the independent clause comes first. You may just write 4 simple sentences. That's probably what I would do. I would probably, since we have not done too many, since we just did compound sentences and complex sentences, I would probably write simple sentences. But do not forget capital at the beginning, and punctuation at the end. Otherwise, you will lose half a point for each missing one. Okay.